So for today's video, we are going to be taking good old traditional mid-range sorcerer onto the ladder. If you know me, you know I love mid-range sorcerer. I have yet to do a deck testing video on this particular archetype since Houses of Morrowind came out, because as you can imagine, tricolor house-oriented decks have been kind of a focus. It's what everybody wants to see. But I love sorcerer, and I think sorcerer got some really interesting tools. The deck, for the most part, is very similar to old versions, but I really feel like our Lethal Rally Friend and specifically the Magister are great additions to the deck. And yeah, we're going to see how it goes. Just like every one of these deck testing videos. Oh, look, a curve. We are going to play 2 games, win or lose, and see how it goes. And yeah.
Training is over. It's
record
time to act.
What we got going on here. Let's
I
go ahead
smell
and
the
contest
stench
that.
of the living.
So it looks like we're up against the infamous aggro Halalu that has been rampant on the ladder. We have to just hope that they don't have a whole lot to crash into this. We would like to get this off the board if possible.
Time to fight.
And yeah, sadly they do in fact
You can't defeat me.
have ways to ruin our fun. That doesn't seem very nice. But they did use a lot of resources to do so. We're actually... I mean, we could firebolt this, pull 3 damage off the board. But I think we're going to develop this. Next turn, if we draw a 2-drop or a 3-drop, we can combine it with Firebolt, Better Saturation, and then we can hopefully Firebolt that and trade in.
Time to fight.
It's going to be at the expense of damage. Wow, that is...
I only need one shot.
That is yet another...
You can't
Yet another
defeat
Firebrand. So we got
Come at
no
me.
value where we needed it. Well, we are certainly going to pull that off. Daggerfall would be nice, but Daggerfall actually doesn't trade with either, so we're going to go ahead and do this. This has the potential to value trade in anyway. And again, thankfully,
Chimera, guide us.
they've used a lot of resources. That one's a little problematic, but we do at least have the Shadowfen in hand. So we'll drop the Shadowfen here. Makes this bigger, so it can better contest. Also means this survives. And now, we just have to hope that we can stabilize enough
business with House Halalu.
and hope that they don't draw into things like Triumphant Jarl
They missed their shot.
and really push us here.
Let's
Go ahead and take our rally proc. Sadly, it didn't hit on either of the things we're going to play, but we are going to come over here and contest. This will hopefully wall up a little bit here.
Just tell me who to stab.
That's problematic. Again, we just need them to not draw cards that draw. Wow, that is all of the Nord Firebrands
My business is
that a man could ask for, but thankfully our opponent this pulls the most damage off the board. Let's do this one. Either way, it's 3 damage off. Thankfully our opponent traded there.
well played.
Does benefit us.
Should have been
Again,
more words.
get our rally trigger first just to be safe.
You've not seen my like.
We're gonna nuke what's in the shadow lane. This should hopefully help us take control of field. And as long as this isn't like a Triumphant Jarl or something. Ugh!
The tide turns.
Man, I hate being right.
My business is none of theirs.
I mean, we do at least have potential answers here. We have the bolt. Could also just Unkano it, which feels okay. get something on the board. Yeah,
Should
let's
have been more
go
work.
ahead and do that. We want to save the
time
priest
has
in case
come.
they play something else. We do also need to slowly start pressuring here, so
I have many important
we'll do it this
things
way.
on my
This
mind.
only breaks one room, gives them 0 board, gives us a pretty sizable board with 6 more damage in reach here, so
There's a plan.
not
There's
enough to
always a
pressure
plan.
for lethal, but alright, so the Berserker is kind of annoying. How do we want to take care of that? Because everything's in the shadow lane, we still don't have a good way to trigger this, sadly. And we would prefer to save this for like a Divine Fervor, but using it to trade is probably acceptable as well.
Your time has come.
Alright, let's go ahead and generate some pressure.
We'll see about this.
And we're going to go ahead and Priest here,
Should have been more work.
trade. And then we could drop the Bleak Coast and then just hope he doesn't have enough to burst us
My
down.
honor.
Or we could play the Harpy and then nothing else. I think the Bleak Coast probably ends up being correct though.
My scales moving.
Yeah, if they're trading, that's a good sign for us. Going up to 10, that's an interesting
There's a plan. There's
thing.
a
Oh, they had a discounted conscription.
The Nords must take
Have
back
business with
Skyrim.
House
They're gonna get a lot of
Lord.
creatures, but I don't think it'll be enough just because of the reach.
For honoric story.
You won't foil my plan.
So just to verify, we do have 6, 12, 17, 21, 23. It actually was enough to buy them a turn. Well, isn't that just adorable? In that case, I think we go ahead and play it relatively conservatively, and let's go ahead and tome here and see what we draw. Stalker.
We'll see about
Nothing
this.
we can really do about this
Mother
over
of
here. So we're going to push damage. We'll give him one last rune, but it puts him on the cusp. And then we can essentially go Barrow Stalker, Barrow Stalker,
Smell the stench of the living.
Harpy, the biggest threat they have. So that gives us, again, a pretty big board presence. Now they have a lot of cards in hand. We are at 15, but we do have some guards up.
Chimera, guide us.
So we can hope that they don't have enough to burst us. I don't think Fervor is going to get it done on their part, unless they have a lot of
Armamora tests
Nord
us.
Firebrands. They've used most of their natural
This
ones,
is none of theirs.
and they certainly don't have enough to clear here.
My scales move in shadow.
Time to fight. Talos. Time to fight. Eyes of all do.
Wait. Did you hear that?
They're gonna guard up rather nicely, but that should be enough. Even if they had a prophecy here, the lightning bolt would be enough to finish them because they would only gain 1 from the Bruma.
It has
So,
been my honor.
That's a really good test right out of the gate, I think. Hlaalu is certainly a meta deck. Being able to beat it feels really important. Hey, we got an epic and 35 gold. That's a heck of a 3-win reward. So, yeah. let's go ahead and dive right back into another game. While I go ahead and take care of recording my games. We also were going first that time, so if you are the kind of person who subscribes to the ring being an advantage, it's an even better showing. Alright, so now we are up against Scout, going first again. And this is not what we want. We want 2 drops. And of the 3 drops we have, Hunting Spirit isn't the best to keep by itself, because you want something on the board typically when you play it. This is interesting. If this ends up being Control Scout, and let's be honest, that's the only kind that exists anymore, this is a pretty bad matchup for us. The presence of Drained Vitality means that it eats right through our wards if we had them, which we don't. Oh, now we have some.
Wrong place for a
and on top of that,
This day will be mine.
the giant bats mean they have some pretty consistent ways to gain health back, so
The waters of life.
I say all of that for them to play a Tree Minder and kind of throw me off. Okay, sir, I see you. I see you. We're gonna use the ward here because we don't know if they have finish off effects or anything.
Wrong place for a midnight stroll.
Careful there, friend.
And if they do, we don't want to give them a free Leaf Lurker or something silly. That is a Hist Grove. And there is a Word Wall. So that's really helpful potentially next turn.
Confound you!
Your blood will spill.
Wrong place for a midnight stroll.
We're actually going to go ahead
You
and
must be cleansed.
do this now, mostly because we want the body for tempo. We have to pressure them, even though the Word Wall means they have Drain. There's no way you play Word Wall there if you are sitting on
Hiding will not save you.
not Drain Vitality, if you're on just Soul Tear.
Mother of mud.
Let's go ahead and get that in. And as much as I wanted to develop
You must be cleansed.
Magister,
Your blood will
right
spill.
now, I
Found you!
think we
Wrong
ignore
place for a midnight stroll.
the Naha No You Didn't Dragon to try to generate as much pressure as we can. If we can get them low enough, we might get a bolt finish, but I fully expect my board to be chewed
I would
through
protect the Hist.
pretty handily here.
I would protect the Hist.
Well, there is a second Word Wall. Again, not really boding super well for us. That's a pretty good top deck. We can crash a bunch of stuff into that. And keep those there. Just develop these 2, I suppose. If it trades into 1, the Windkeep threatens back. But again, we know that they're on the drain. But yeah, let's go ahead.
We draw power from there.
Let's get some value out of these before the level 3 drain hits. So let's go ahead and just pull this
Wrong
off.
place for a midnight stroll.
And that's still enough to trigger this. So I think we just pass on this side
My
after we do that.
This day will be mine.
Raise Dead's a solid one for us to get, though on their end, we're not likely to get something helpful. Crushing Blow, interesting. Still haven't seen a Drain Vitality. Maybe they do in fact just have Soul Tears,
I'll scout ahead.
and they were playing these as speed bumps. That would in fact work very heavily in our favor. That eats our Magister. That's kind of makes me sad.
Confound you!
Mother of mud.
I mean, we are in fact going to just continue to generate pressure. I mean, the Raised Dead is an interesting choice because we only have like a 50-50 shot of getting something worth our time from them. And I feel like if I also play the Mummy, if they have Drain, that should be enough to force it, and then we'll still have the Raised Dead back. Though sadly, it's probably not going to get us anything good on our end either. Actually, I think we're going to hold the Mummy as well. We have more than enough to threaten lethal here. Like if they have a level 3 Drain, they kind of, well, I guess they don't have to use it because they found a bat. So the bat is problematic because with them not playing Drain, that means they definitely have Soul Tear, and so that bat is coming back as a 7/7. Oh, apparently they have Dragon Aspect. I continue to be surprised. Alright, well, let's go ahead and do this. Yes!
My Arcane Beard, this day will be mine.
The bat isn't super ideal, you know, in terms of like size of creatures, but the fact that it denies our opponent the pleasure of getting it back over and over and over again, that fills me with joy. That fills me with joy.
For the Black Hand.
As is, we're one off of lethal on the board. And that Death Priest whiffs. And that sadly ruins our party. But forcing that damage in is actually pretty important. And here's why. If we play the negation and get 2 damage in, that puts them at 7. This spirit, if they don't have removal and they don't have health gain, is enough for us to potentially threaten lethal with the lightning bolt. So we will lose the Wind Keep. But with only 2 cards left in hand, they need a way to stop
What have we here?
our plan of action. Now, drawing a card is not helpful for us. One of the cards is likely a shout. I could be wrong, but they did play the word walls.
Mighty egg, surrender.
Red Raymond slows him down. However, Uncano is pretty close to getting us there. Pretty close to getting us there, because Firebolts is going to pull this off for us. Nice and tidy. So.
I have many important things on my mind.
And we don't really have anything else worth smacking with Uncano. Like to pull damage off. So I think this goes straight face, because if they do top deck a bat and it only swings for 2, that still only gets them to 4. So I think that's the right play. This gets him down to 1. Also pulls 7 damage off the board. So they have 12 damage on board. If they could do 10, they get the victory. They have to otherwise gain some health because we do have the lightning bolt in hand. They have a value trade, nice and easy on the spirit here, but they need an answer for Uncano and to gain health. So right now things are looking up for us. This game would have been vastly different had our opponent actually had Drain Vitality. Ah, so they do have a Soul Tear. It's likely fetching a guard, because again
Will not save you.
We high rolled and stole the bat.
My scales move in shadow.
But the bolt will get it done. So, yeah, if our opponent had a Drain Vitality, we probably lose there, given that they had the word walls. Interesting game nonetheless. The high roll and the Raised Dead, excuse me. It was dreadful, Raised Dread for our opponent, because we stole their bat. That could have potentially bought them more time as well, but yeah, good pair of games. I still love Sorcerer. It turns out, looks like it's still pretty good. Thanks for watching, as always, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.